The spectacular sandstone structures of the ancient city of Petra, Jordan, are hidden away behind a narrow, winding pass of towering cliffs. The magnificent buildings are the remnants of a city inhabited for hundreds of years by ancient civilizations, including the Nabateans, the Romans, and Bedouin tribes.
Petra is in a location that tapped into Mediterranean Roman architectural styles, indigenous Arab Nabatean styles, broad Mediterranean Hellenistic styles, nomadic influences of the Bedouins then. But all of these come together not just in a unique architecture, but a unique architecture that was carved from these sandstone cliffs. And so it's just extraordinary when you think of a whole culture carving their architecture rather than constructing it itself.
Petra was a thriving commercial hub for the Nabateans, home to as many as 20,000 people at its height in the 1st century BC. But conquest by Rome, changes in trade routes, and a series of devastating earthquakes contributed to a steep population decline until only a handful of people inhabited the area. No record exists of a visit to Petra after the late 13th century. The spectacular ruins of Petra stood forgotten for almost 500 years until their rediscovery by a Swiss explorer in the early 19th century.
Not only does it represent this very, very important sort of architectural nexus of style, but it also represents a heritage that all of us shared that is sort of this expansion of the Eastern Mediterranean, an expansion of Western Asia, an expansion of Northern Africa. I mean, Petra's location is literally a couple of long walks from 3 continents.
When Petra was named one of the new 7 Wonders of the World in 2007, University of Arkansas Geosciences professor Tom Paradise saw reason to worry.
Since most of Petra was actually carved out of the sandstone cliffs around the valley 2,000 years ago, they're really sensitive. It's a very, very sensitive architecture to climatic effects, to people touching things, and even human breath effects, the deterioration of these beautiful buildings when too many tourists are inside or walking about. So the more people you get, the more people tend to touch, the more people tend to collect, and the more people tend to breathe.
The crescent-shaped valley where Petra lies houses thousands of tombs, temples, altars, amphitheaters, and other structures hand-carved into the pink and orange sandstone. The ruins include the treasury Al-Khazna, which moviegoers will recognize from the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
And we actually found really sort of dramatic results in that we were able to link types and rates of deterioration to the lithology of the sandstone, to aspects of climate, and that's when we started to notice red flags regarding tourism and the actual tread of people walking through certain parts of the Roman theater.
Petra sees hundreds of thousands of visitors a year, and with its designation as one of the wonders of the world, that number is likely to rise. So Paradise and his colleagues work closely with the Cultural Heritage Management Team at the UNESCO World Heritage Site, as well as with the Jordanian government, to ensure that after more than 2,000 years of existence, Petra will not literally disappear beneath people's feet.
Since 1996, we have actually kept track of the number of tourists that come into the park and leave the various architecture that they visit, and it permits us to better balance and then help the conservators and the park officials to figure out what resources are needed where and when. So it's helped us figure out parts of infrastructure, where paths need to be rebuilt, where bathrooms need to be located, things like that.
With the help of researchers like Tom Paradise, this world treasure carved into desert stone will continue to be preserved for future generations.
And it's been a really interesting sort of journey in the 20 years, going from the science of conservation to this sort of policy making area where we're able to help in all of these areas, looking at the science that's sort of geologic and climatic, and then looking at sort of anthropogenic effects and the anthropology and sociology of behavior, and now looking at actually law and policy making, helping UNESCO and the Jordanians create a place that lasts as long as we can.